is November 29th. Obviously, we are due for a November book wrap-up. I read so many good books this month. A couple ones, but a lot of really good ones that I'm really excited to show you guys. I am recording this after I hosted my very first book club. If you were there, thank you so much for coming out. It was honestly better than I could have ever hoped it would go. If you're unfamiliar with my book club, I recently started a monthly book club that meets on Zoom, and the interesting thing about it is that we don't have a set book. So instead of everybody reading the same book, which oftentimes just doesn't work out because someone ends up reading it in the first 5 days of the month and they don't remember it by the end, somebody doesn't like it. I feel like it's always just difficult to have everybody read the same book over the course of a month. So I thought it would be cool to set up a book club where everybody just goes about their reading throughout the whole entire month, and then at the end of the month we all meet together on a Zoom call and everybody just shares what they read for the month, and they give recommendations, and you don't have to talk. Obviously, if you're not interested, you can just sit down, write down recommendations, and enjoy the company. I'm excited to do it in December too, so if you're interested in that, head over to my Instagram. It is at Emily's Books with 2 M's. Just send me a DM saying you're interested, and then send me an email address that I can reach you by, and I will add you to the list. And I will be sending out the email for next month's meeting very soon. In the email, I will be trying to figure out what dates work best for everybody, what times, because there's people from all over the world, which is insane. So it's pretty hard to get everybody, but I try my best to fit everybody in. So if you're interested, like I said, head over to the Instagram. I will add you to the list, and I will see you at the end of December. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into everything I read this November. I'm going to start with this one, which I'm currently working on. This is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. I believe in my last video I talked about Legendborn. That is the book before this. I think it is confirmed to be a trilogy as well. This is a fantasy series. This is about this girl who goes to this early college program at UNC Charlotte, I believe. And she finds herself mixed up with this secret society surrounding the legend of King Arthur and the Round Table. It's so interesting. It's so inclusive. I just found the first book to be incredibly entertaining, and I couldn't put it down. I love the characters. I love the plot. However, the second book, I am having a little bit of issues getting through it. I think it feels a little bit too much like a filler book at this point. There's just too many pages of just explanation, and not enough has been happening for me personally, so I've been having a difficult time. I'm currently on page 141 of 551. I unfortunately think this will take me some time, but that is my update for this book. If you're into fantasy, if you're into secret societies and all that stuff, this is very action based. Well, not this one, but the first one has a lot of action, a lot of moving parts. I recommend this. The next one that I'm currently reading is The Lucky Ones by Liz Lawson. So definitely check out the trigger warnings for this book before you get started. This follows the aftermath of a school shooting. So this is a dual POV type of book. It is in first person as well. So it's told from May, who has just lost her twin brother in the school shooting, and it is also told from Zach, whose mom is the defense attorney for the person who did and this is kind of about how their worlds collide, the aftermath of everything. I'm only on page 113 of 333. That's a really good number of pages. And this is definitely a hard read, but I also think it's a really good read. And if you are up for it, I think it's phenomenal and you would really enjoy this. I love Liz Lawson's writing style. She also wrote The Agathas, which was written by both her and Kathleen Glasgow. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think I mentioned that on this channel. That is a phenomenal murder mystery set in like this beachy town. That's another great recommendation, but this one I really recommend if you are up for this sort of book. The next 2 paperbacks that I've read this month are both holiday books. The first one is Love Life Arms by BK Barson. This was a 5-star for me. I devoured this. If you are into holiday romance with a fake dating trope and also quite a slow burn, but not too slow of a burn, this is the book for you. I, as you probably have heard already 30 times on this channel, have a very difficult time with romance. I like get cringed out very easily, and I like more of like a complex romance more than like a romantic romance, if that makes any sense. Like, I like to see like the inner workings of a romance. I don't know. And I found like that this one was much more complex, and the characters felt so realistic. It was just a feel-good novel. Like, you feel so good by the end of it, but it's not too cheesy. It's realistic. It was just awesome. So this follows Stella Bloom, who owns a Christmas tree farm, a dying Christmas tree farm, and the whole place is falling apart. She is trying her best to keep it alive, but it's not going well. So this influencer is hosting this contest for small businesses, and the winner gets a $100,000 cash prize and a lot of publicity for their business. So she enters it, prays that it works out for her. And while she's entering the application in, she decides her story sounds a lot better if she says that she owns the Christmas tree farm with her boyfriend. She has no boyfriend, so you see where this is going. So in comes her best friend of 10 years, Luca, who pretends to be her boyfriend for the week while they try to impress this Instagram influencer so that they can win the contest. It is chef's kiss, phenomenally written. Okay, so Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist follows, obviously, Nick Winters and Noelle Carter. Nick was overseas in the army. He comes home to find his girlfriend of 8 years has been cheating on him, leaves his girlfriend. And while they're out at the bar one night, him and his friend group, which includes Noelle Carter, he sees his ex-girlfriend with another guy. So what does he do? Him and Noelle kiss to make both of their exes jealous. It has all of the ingredients for a perfect fake dating trope. It just fell short for me because of the dialogue. The dialogue felt too immature. The way Noelle was portrayed felt very out of touch. It felt like she was a child. It just didn't do it for me. I just did not enjoy the dialogue. I know so many people did, and I think that's awesome. I think this really has the potential to be a phenomenal story. There are so many moving parts that would make this so interesting, and it truly was so interesting when I was reading it. I just couldn't get past the dialogue, in my opinion, unfortunately. But if I find myself in a reading rut, I might revisit this because it is an easy read. And I feel like it could help get out of a book slump if you're cool with some of like the cheesier dialogue. The next 3 books that I read were all ebooks. I'm going to start with an ARC that I was sent by Valentine PR. This is called Sneaking Around with the Player by Rebecca Genshak. I ended up rating this 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. It was nothing crazy. I didn't love it, but I really enjoyed it, and it was a really quick read. It's somewhere around like 150 pages, so you can like fly through this in a day, which is what I did. I just like sat down and went through it over the course of a day. It's a really cute story. So Stella is at the airport coming home from a swim meet, I believe. She swims for her D1 college. About to come back home, and she sees her ex-boyfriend with another girl. So she asks this guy, who she sees sitting by himself, if she could go and sit next to him. They start talking. He ends up asking for her number. They go their separate ways, but she finds out he is someone who she should not be dating. He ends up being her brother's rival. They both play football, and they are rivals. They are across the country from each other, falling in love through text, through FaceTime. It's not really super insta love, which is awesome because I know typical for shorter romances to fall into the insta love category, but it's definitely not. It's I think it's like slow enough. So she is juggling, keeping this from her brother, keeping it from him. I had a good time reading it. It's a cute ending, quick read. I just wish there was a little bit more complexity, a little bit more of like a plot, a little bit more of like hurdles that they have to come over. But I liked it. Overall, it was a really good read. If you're looking for like a really quick, cute romance, then I recommend. Okay, also ended up reading The Candid Life of Mina Dave. Okay, so the story follows Mina and kind of her self-discovery journey. So she is like very untethered. She has no permanent address. She's a freelance photographer, so she's kind of traveling all over the world. So she's just kind of out on her own, doing her own thing. She ends up being left this apartment in this woman's will after she passes, and she is so confused because she had no idea who this woman was. She ends up going to the apartment, and the story is kind of following her grappling with these two lifestyles of this newfound family and this sense of togetherness and community, and then this past lifestyle where she's just kind of all over the world, not settling, not really forming connections, just kind of here or there. So it's kind of her struggle between the two and figuring out who she is along the way. It's a really nice book. I actually gave this a 3.5, but I think I want to give it a 4 because it just like was really heartwarming. I just didn't really like, the ending felt a little bit rushed. That was my only negative. If you're interested in books like that, I really think you would love it. The last two, Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati. This was an arc. This book is not released until March 7th, unfortunately, but if you are a fan of anything Madeline Miller, if you're a fan of her books Circe, The Song of Achilles, I think you will absolutely adore this book. So this follows Clytemnestra, the ancient Greek queen, and this kind of follows her whole entire life from being a teen all the way through motherhood. And this woman goes through so much. Like, it is actually ridiculous what this woman goes through. And it's all about female rage and living in a world controlled by men and how she fights back. It is so good. I can't express that enough. And what is even crazier is that the author, Costanza Casati, this is her debut novel, I believe, which is insane to me because the writing is so stunning. It is a beautifully written book, and it's not like so beautiful that it's hard to read. It's phenomenal. So good. I gave that 5 stars. One of my favorite books of the year, easily. And the last one that I read, and I am so late to the game on this one, I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. If you haven't heard of Daisy Jones and the Six, this is one of the most popular books out in the past few years. This is like an interview style book that follows the band Daisy Jones and the Six, and it tells the story of how they formed and ultimately how they fell apart. It talks to each band member. They all have their input. It's not a romance, but there are romantic aspects, and it's very complex and very deep and very messy, and it's so interesting. I couldn't put this down. I read this when I was in Scotland for a week, and I felt like I was wasting, like I was like mad at myself because I'm like, I should be out exploring the streets of Scotland right now, but I couldn't put this book down. Like, it was so good. And I listened to the audiobook probably for the last half of it because I didn't realize the audiobook was so phenomenal until that far along. It's so good. If you like audiobooks, you're gonna love this one because it's like a movie. Like, the casting for it is incredible because I have a difficult time sometimes with audiobooks. I think sometimes they sound like robots. Not this one. So good. So that's a 5 star too. And that's everything for November. It was a really good month. I finished 5 books. I'm in the process of reading 2 more. I don't think I'll finish them by the end of November, but I thought I would include them. And that's everything. I really hope you got some recommendations out of this because these were phenomenal books, and I feel like there's something for everybody in this month's collection. Just a reminder, if you're looking to join the book club, you can head over to my Instagram at Emily's Books with 2 M's. Head over to my TikTok, same at. If you want to like this video, if you enjoyed it, if you want to subscribe, I would love that. It means the world to me. And that is everything. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your month.